Welcome back to Famished for More podcast. This is your girl Misha here, and I want to say thank you for joining me. We are opening up. This is season 2 of the podcast, and I am truly happy. We have reached a goal that I didn't see coming. You know, when I started uploading this podcast, we've reached 100 downloads, and we are international. So we have international listeners, and I just want to say hello and thank you guys so much for giving me your time, your energy, and listening to my story. In the previous season, if you've been with me, you know I am a stroke survivor, and I birthed this podcast out of healing. You know, it was in my recovery journey that I started, recording and uploading this podcast and hoping to reach other stroke survivors and giving them hope that, you can stroke yourself to your highest timeline and you don't have to give up because of a traumatic brain injury that happened to you and myself. And so a lot of the previous episodes had a lot to deal with, internal healing and dismantling the things that keep us from moving forward emotionally, so we can get out of that rut that keeps us from, hoping and dreaming past the bad things that have happened in our lives that makes us think the world is over. And so, I've taken a long time. This podcast is 2 years old, and I've taken a while. At the end of the year, it'll be 3 years old. So within this 3-year journey, I have healed a lot on the inside. And with that, I've been exploring, new ways of healing and releasing my old ways of dealing with things. And it has also just opened me up to exploring my manifestations in a more connected way. And that is what I am really passionate about, is just like manifestation, subconsciousness. And so I've dove into Joe Dispenza and just learning more about the brain, and having the stroke actually allowed me to explore that with just so much passion. I wanted to know, how did I get back on my feet, to the point where it's day and night, from the day I had the stroke until now. And I know that all happened in the brain first. So it started this, seeking of mind power. I wanted to know how the neuroplasticity was actually working and how did that actually manifest into my life. I manifested my recovery. And I feel it is very important for everybody to understand the power of the mind, because when hard times hit you unexpectedly and you have no physical support, or a person can't help you, so to speak, you have to know how the power is in your mind. That even if your body, like me, my limbs couldn't help me, I was wanting them to move. It's not like I didn't want them to move. I was wanting to will them to move, but there's a process that has to go on, and it's in neuroplasticity. You have to be repetitive, and you have to have that same desire, firing off rockets in that same direction in order to see movement. And I feel like if I can do that, you can do that. We can do that with our body. We can do that with anything. You can manifest anything. It's all about shifting how you look at things, shifting your mindset, which is the same thing, your perception, your mindset, how you look at things. So shifting that first, deciding that's what you want to do, deciding that I'm tired of living, how I'm living. I feel like I deserve more. And that is what drove me to get out of that wheelchair. The desire, the burning desire, and knowing I deserve more. This cannot be the end of my life. This cannot be how it ends. I have to push forward. And in those moments when I was in that rehab, laying in that bed, no visitors, it's a lot of downtime when you're in rehab and you're in isolation. It brought me back to thinking about being in isolation. That's my 12th house. So me healing also opened me up to a whole new way of learning myself. And that opened the door to so much more confidence. You can even hear it in my speech. the way I talk and the way I deliver myself with so much more confidence, because I've learned so much more about myself by diving deeper into the astrology of me. And 12th house is isolation, it is solitude, it is endings, it is the subconscious, it is healing, it is hospitals, it is jailhouses. And I went through a whole 12th house like transit, because my 12th house, me being sick in my 6th house, pushed me into the 12th house, which is my north node. And if you know astrology, you understand how deep that is. Me being sick in my Capricorn 6th house, which is my south node, stopped me from working, stopped me from being the workhorse, the boss, aka Capricorn, and it pushed me into an isolation which is my north node, and to heal mentally. So it was like, and it stopped me from trying to push my way through life. And it made me go sit my butt down and actually allow life to happen and to go with the flow and to release so much control. And that was hard for me. It was hard for me. And then to lose not just control, I lost control of my person. I couldn't, do things. I couldn't walk. I couldn't even tie my shoe, unless I did it with the left hand. So it pushed me into this isolation and the subconscious and this ending cycle where I was just going through death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth, dismantling. And as soon as I thought I dismantled one, here popped up more. So it was like, I'm 43 this year. This month is my birthday, July 23rd. And 43 years of stuff was popping up. So it's kind of like if you have ever popped a pimple, which most of us have, or a boil, anything like that, you think that you've popped it, but you haven't gotten to the root. So it keeps filling back up and it keeps hurting and it keeps staying there. It doesn't leave until you remove the root. And once you dig, and I know it hurt so bad to push that pimple or that boil to the root. But the more you apply that pressure and it pops up and you get all of it, it'll heal and you won't see that again. That wound will not be there. That boil, that pimple, it's gone. It won't continue to resurface in your life, on your face, on your body. And it's the same with healing. And so my astrology, knowing that and understanding like there are no mistakes in life. There is a chart for you, like your fingerprint, that is designed for you to lean into that energy that you came here with. And we find so much problems when we don't know the chart. We don't understand the energy that is us. The more you know thyself, the stronger and more powerful you will be. And I truly, truly, truly am happier than I've ever been. And I don't have the material things that I used to have. I know they will come now because I'm on the right alignment. I'm in the right path. I'm walking in my purpose. And I know those things that I lost will be restored to me tenfold. I believe in a higher power that has recalibrated my life so I can do what I'm doing and hopefully helping people understand that you have the power to shift your life. Start with you and everything else will start shifting around you. And those that are not meant to be will just die away, literally and figuratively. I've experienced both. Okay. And so I love having this podcast because you guys can go back and see the evolution. Hopefully you can grab some inspiration from it. Like I grabbed from so many resources and people via TikToks, YouTube, podcasts. I have grabbed so much information and resources to help me heal and build who you hear today. And I feel like, me leaning more into my 12th house instead of running away from it, actually, understanding it, getting to learn what it means. It's in Cancer. So I'm here to nurture. I'm here to heal. I am the voice of a mother, right? So I'm here to be stern and loving and nurturing to my audience of women. Cancer rules women. Cancer rules emotion. The moon is ruling Cancer. So I'm here to help heal your emotions. I'm here to help my ladies. And it feels good knowing your purpose. You walk through life and you try to fill all these different little boxes thinking that's the way you should go, only to meet a dead road, a dead end, because it's not. And when you go through the path that is actually in alignment with you, that lights you up because you're on your purpose, you don't find the dead ends. It's just an never ending road that you get to keep discovering and just allowing God to guide you there, whatever that may be. And so I implore you to go check out your natal chart, see who you are. It's literally, I look at it as, we look at a fingerprint and we're like, only the specialists, the people that went to school for those things and been trained in that category, can read your fingerprint. But look at the natal chart as a fingerprint of you that you can have access to. You can dissect, and it doesn't take, you to go to school to do so. And it doesn't take a third party if you take the time to learn it. And what better project, what better person to learn and explore than yourself? It unlocks so much trauma, so much childhood stuff, so much karmic stuff that you probably have been, questioning your whole life, why you deal with this, why this happened, with all the whys. The natal chart for me answered a lot of the whys. And so I didn't doubt myself anymore. Who I was previously in the stroke, I don't walk as that same person any longer. That person, she was performing. I'm a Leo. I'm double Leo. Leo sun, Leo rising. And performer. So I performed first, and I never delved into, my actual me. What I want to do. It was always trying to people please others, and what I feel others, would want. Make sure they're feeling good and their needs are met. And that's not a bad thing, but you have to fill your own cup first. And so I'm learning that, being more nurturing to me, more mothering to me, allows me to be that to others as well. And I just want you guys to lean more into believing in the power that you are. There's no one like you, and you can do so many things if you can just start getting the cobwebs of fear out of the way, and the doubt, and just not knowing yourself. When you don't know yourself to an extent, it hinders the confidence that boils inside of you. Like, you're not lacking confidence, you're lacking self-knowledge. And so the more you dive in to knowing thyself, the more you'll open up. It just happens automatically. And you find your lane, and you're like, oh, okay, that's why I love to do this and do that. Because me, I'm a talker. And I never understood why I can go. Like, you get me on a topic that I am passionate about, I can go, I can talk, and I love to give advice, and I love to help uplift people and, make them feel good about their situation, because life happens. And I noticed that my gift is to remind people of that. There's nothing wrong with you because life happened. Life happens. It just happens to all of us differently. And so however God delivered that to you, it's for you to look at it as an opportunity to grow, not a way for you to, go away into a shell and never come back out. I was in a shell, and people probably think I never am coming back out, but it's like the phoenix rising through the ashes. I will be definitely different from who they seen, right? Physically and mentally, I'll shine different because I'm shining from within, because the confidence comes from within. The self-love comes from within. My 12th house, I am in my lane. This is my lane. Healing, self-love, dismantling limiting beliefs, doing the necessary work internally, the things that I used to run away from. That's why everything I tried to do didn't work out, because that was not my lane. I was going off of what I may have seen on the outside instead of checking with me on the inside, right? And so once I started checking with me on the inside, because I had no choice, because when you are sick, You are in isolation. You don't see the people you used to see. You don't go do the things you used to do. And there's a lot of self-reflection goes on when you're in isolation. And it allowed me to, do the ugly cries that was necessary. Be honest, even though it hurted, about my past, about the things I put out into the universe myself, and the things I allowed to be, put on me and projected onto me. It's just a lot of healing and just like taking the machete and whacking the hell out of it so it never comes back. Getting to the root so it never comes back. And sometimes God will isolate us because when you're busy and you're moving and you're doing this and you're doing that and you're answering the call for this person and you're answering the call for that person, you're solving this solution, you're solving that solution, but you're not checking in and doing all those things for self, God will sit you down. And it will come at the form of a loss, unfortunately, because that's how he gets our attention. When you lose something and when you're sad and you got to sit down, you have to reflect. That's how God can talk to you. That's how God can get your attention. When we're so busy trying to make something happen, push, we are not sitting down, listening to the plan, listening to the next step, letting God guide us, right? And when you do that decade after decade and it's harming you, eventually it's going to show you. And that's what happened to me. But I don't regret it, guys. I don't regret it. I don't want you to regret anything that's happened in your life because it's a lesson. It's a lesson to push you forward, to evolve you, because we're forever evolving. So just because something didn't play out the way you wanted it to, because this season was not how you wanted it to be, because you were blindsided by something that happened in your life, it is not over. That was your lesson. So you look at that, you dissect that, you understand that it was to push you forward, to push you into who you're supposed to be. And, keep exploring yourself. Understand nothing happens outside of you without you allowing it to happen on the inside of you first. All of our problems arise from the mind. Your health, the people, the places, all of it, you created it. Whether you want to admit it or not. Just go ahead and look into Joe Dispenza. I just go and look into him, watch a couple of his videos, and you'll understand why I say that. But me also going through, the stroke, the right side paralyzed, to now not needing a cane, not needing a wheelchair. That came from a burning desire that allowed me to continue to do the necessary steps to fire off those electric magnet to create a new pathway for me to learn how to walk again, for me to learn how to talk again, because I was talking, but it was not like this. It was a lot of stuttering, a lot of not remembering words and things of that nature. So it takes a lot. You have to do the work, and that's what I've learned. I don't mind doing the work, but I want to do the work that is definitely not burning the oil out in the wrong direction. Like a person can be, driving. Have you ever seen somebody try to take off and they got the emergency brakes on? So they spinning the wheels, but the car's not going anywhere. I don't want to do that in life anymore. I want to be, intentional with the direction I'm spinning my wheels in, and that, I'm making sure that the emergency brake is off so I can take off in the right direction. And that's kind of like, with the neuroplasticity. Once you start doing something different and you make it a habit to continue to do that and continue to show up even when you don't want to, you're forcing your brain to create a new pathway. And then that becomes your new norm. And then you say goodbye to the old way of being, because every day you show up in the new, you say goodbye to the old. It dissipates. It doesn't show up. So those old habits eventually disappear. The people disappear. Anything that's not in alignment with what you're saying yes to will disappear. It will move out your way. And so I'm going to end, the first episode to season 2 with this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be on the lookout for more, encouraging and more tips on how we're going to manifest and how we're going to be, living our fabulous life, get our body how it should be, make sure our health is good, both mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Just tuning into self, loving self, and becoming the best version that is already there. We just have to catch up to her. So once we catch up to her, we can also experience the things that we desire. And so I hope you guys have a great one. I'll see you in the next one. And until next time, peace, love, and happiness.